I think that the blockchain has provided a really unique opportunity in NFTs for poets and writers to present their work as art. I think a lot of people don't see written word as a medium for art or as an art form. And with NFTs, we're kind of able to showcase a lot of what's going on in the poetry space and has been going on for a really long time, and to present it in the same discussion and in the same sphere as other art forms. Yeah, so it's really, really exciting. It's been exciting for me. It's been an amazing journey thus far, being able to, whether it's like be in exhibitions and things like that. As a poet, I think that's completely shifted, I mean, my entire perception of what I could do with poetry and what I can do with my art. Like being in galleries next to like digital illustrations and things like that, it would not have been conceivable in the Web2 space or like in the traditional art space. And so, yeah, I'm super grateful for what NFTs have kind of afforded me the ability to do. And I do also do like spoken word poetry. And so that's really exciting. It's been a journey being able to share that without having to be physically present. And so now with the blockchain, I can just, I can edit and do my spoken word pieces and put them up without having to necessarily go to a spoken word show or to like have to see people in real life or like film a video and do a YouTube or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think this is just super, super exciting for poets, especially when it comes to visibility and having people engage meaningfully with our work. Through the lens of being like a new poet and someone who's already in the traditional space, I would say if you are interested in reaching a broader audience and having distribution and having ownership and copyright in a way that is inherent and doesn't necessarily create issues for you along the line, I'm going to just segue off of that really quickly and talk about like my issue with sharing my writing prior to NFTs was always having your work stolen. I feel like written word isn't as respected, especially online. I mean, in the same way that people like save people's art and reuse it, with words, it's a lot harder to go back and say, well, I wrote that. That's my poem. That's my piece. And you took it and you put it and you did it a different thing with it. It's hard to go back and say, oh, okay, well, that's mine. Now you're just arguing with someone online. So yeah, just to go back to the point. So if you are a poet, if you are someone who's sharing your work online, who's distributing content, and you want, number one, to be in a space that is curated for art, that people are coming to and looking for artwork. They're looking for you to be creative. They're looking for you to share your stories or whatever it is that you're doing. The NFT space kind of provides that. Whereas within, again, the traditional art world, you have to kind of seek out these curated spaces. You have to go and look for an open mic. You have to go and look for a poetry night or this or that. Within NFTs, right, you already have that. At this point now, thankfully, we already have this niche where poets are existing and doing what they do. And you can go to this place that is built for artists and you can display your art without having to figure out the like algorithm of this social platform and that social platform to make sure you're finding poets. You're not having to like hashtag all day and try and figure out like where are the people who are interested in poetry. You just kind of they're here. You go to the NFT space, you find me, you find like the NFT Poets Corner, you find like the crypto writers, which is another community, and you just exist and you say, okay, well, I have this work, and then you can engage meaningfully. You kind of already have people who are willing to support you, number one, and who are willing to help you to understand what's going on within these spaces. And so that was a big perk for me. And then off of that, I would also say that another added benefit of is, like I talked about, the ownership and the rights that come with being a creator on the blockchain. You have this record, this digital ledger, you have the blockchain that says that you created this thing at this time. And so it is its own like inherent copyright system. Now, if obviously you are a malicious actor or something like that, and somebody were to mint words that were not theirs or something like that, that then becomes a traditional Web2 problem, and that will be handled in that way. But for me, like publishing my book was the reason why I wanted to publish a book instead of publishing or like just doing poetry on like Instagram like I was doing before, was because I wanted to make sure that these things that were so important to me, that felt like they were a part of me, were being respected, and that they would be respected in perpetuity. You know what I mean? If it was immortalized in a book, I felt like people respect that. People respect copyright. They respect, the fact that you composed something and edited it and like published it and whatever. I found that same respect on chain. And I think the blockchain allows artists to, again, continue to retain ownership of their things, these things that are so important to us, and to present them in a way that is, how do I say, like, it's curated for the way we want to present ourselves. Like I said, if you are a poet and you are in the traditional space, or at least in my experience, you're going out and you're seeking out these events where other people are being like, okay, yeah, go do your poetry. And you might go up there and the mic might not be working, or you might be like shoved in like a little corner, or just a lot of horror stories that like myself and my friends have experienced in being poets who are going IRL and doing these things. It's not always comfortable. You're not always presenting your work in its best light, and you're not always able to control how, like what the room is. You might be doing open mic in a bar and people are drinking and they don't really care about the fact that you're standing up there doing spoken word poetry. And so it feels different to present to an audience that is ready to receive you, that is open to receiving you, and having your own little niche little space where you can present your work, you can retain ownership of your work, and you can present it in its best light. Hopefully that's enough to convince any poets out there. But yeah, I think that for me was like monumental and a perspective shift for sure.
I wanna ask another question. So say now you sold me, I'm hooked. Now I'll have a project. And this is a question that I just received. What is the best way that you found to format poetry to then mint it onto the blockchain? Because that's a whole other thing that poets now need to know.
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are a lot of options. I like to remind people that the NFT space allows for freedom of creativity. So you can literally do anything you want to do, any kind of formatting. You don't necessarily have to do your line breaks if that's not your style. I've seen people sell just like block text. I've seen people do the line breaks. I've seen people sell like just a few words, like, or like recently I published a haiku, you know what I mean? You can do anything that you really want to do. So I don't want to limit anyone when I answer this question. But what I will say is be mindful of like your file types, right? So I know that like on Zora, they allow you to mint .txt files, and that was revolutionary for me. And then which is because it's just the letters, the words, that's all it is. But with that, you don't get to format it. And so if formatting is important to you as it is to me, then that might not be the medium for you. That might not be the file type for you. When I published my poetry collection, I published it as a PDF, and I did that on the Tezos blockchain because they allow for that. And a lot of other platforms, especially like on Ethereum, don't necessarily do PDF. And so that was important to me. So I found as a poet, retain your style, whatever it is, whether it is you like to format it a certain particular way. I think poetry advocates and people who are looking to purchase poetry are not as concerned with formatting. I think that's more of like an art style and a personal choice as a poet. And so go with your gut, go with your style. I would be more cognizant of your file types. Like if you're going to make it a picture like a JPEG or a PNG, then yeah, you do your own formatting, you put it up. Same thing with like PDF and all those other things. But if you are minting as a .txt file, you won't get that opportunity to format. But there is other value in minting .txt files and having your actual words on chain. It's kind of cool. But yeah, I can't answer that question for you. I think that formatting should be up to the artist. I haven't seen any bias with collectors like wanting to favor one format style over another. So go crazy and yeah, have fun with it, honestly.